with Chad.
I'm really glad you guys came to the show. So I've learned a lot of stuff on, or learning a lot of stuff about, the virtual wrestling, like signature moves. Like, what are your guys' signature moves? I'll start with you, Wrex.
Well, signature moves, I have a few, but my finishers, my two strongest moves, and the one I use the most is called a Wrex effect. If you've watched WWE at all, it's Randy Orton's RKO. It's a cutter. Basically, I'll jump up and grab the guy by his neck and basically kind of land down. His face hits the mat. Pretty impactful, quick move, and it's easy to counter other people's moves with it. I actually did it to Kirok Sunday when he lifted me up for the flapjack move he was attempting, and when he went to dump me over, I caught him with it on the way down. Just wasn't able to crawl over and get the pin, but those are my two main ones. I have the Wrex effect and the curb stomp. The curb stomp up, put your foot on the back of their neck and kind of stomp their head to the mat. Then I have other signatures too, but it just depends on what the match calls for and what I can do at that time.
What about you, Nate?
So for signatures, I have a couple. One's called the WMD knee. It's short for the world's most devastating knee. And I mean, it's just me getting someone lined up in my sights, get a good running start, and just driving my knee either right into their jaw or temple. So I like to do a lot of striking, and so that's one of my signature strikes, I'd say. But for like Wrex was saying, there's kind of a distinction, with signature moves and then finisher moves. Signatures usually are kind of your setup for the finisher. Like once you're hitting this, you're kind of, getting ready, at least in theory, to end the match and get the win if all goes as you hope it will. Not always the case, but I mean, as best as we can do. So, for my finishers, I have one called the Fatality, named thanks to Mortal Kombat, and it's me picking a guy up on my shoulders, uh, flipping him head over to where the back of his head falls on my knee. So I'm basically kneeing him in the back of the head, make him sit up, and then come off the ropes and hit him with another knee. So it's kind of like a knee to the back of the head, knee to the front of the head, and trying not to give a concussion, but as close as you can get. Hopefully just a KO to let me pick up the win. And then the other one is called the God Killer, which might have to rename now after anything goes, because how it got its name is, well, can't really say God Killer anymore because he's not dead. But it's again me starting from the shoulders and spinning them off, pushing their legs back, bringing the head forward, turning it down to where I'm just spiking the top of their head into the canvas.
That's not right. That's good.
It's effective, though. It's effective, and that's the point.
Oh, a lot of those moves, I was like, that's not right. But I really got into it. I was just me and Robbie were like NIMs, and we were just like, really? Yeah, he was like flipping his keyboard. It was hilarious. So it's not really a guaranteed win when you guys do these moves, I guess. I'm assuming. Is that the pen move or?
Yeah, well, I'd say like 99% of the with the finishers, 99% of the time that's what we're gonna end with. I mean, the reason they are our finishing moves is that's what we know. I mean, we've just perfected that particular hold or grapple, strike, whatever it is, depending on which wrestler it is. That's just their bread and butter. That's what they know how to hit. They know how to hit it. They know how to get the most damage out of it. And, usually, I mean, if you're on the receiving end of that, like take for me, if you're getting double kneed in the head or getting the top of your head spiked into the mat, I mean, you'll be lucky to get your wits about you, a minute or two afterwards, much less after a referee counts to 3. So, but I mean, it has happened, sometimes guys are just able to dig into a second gear or find just some second wind out of nowhere, get the shoulder up before the 3 count and survive. I mean, it's like I said, it's a super rare thing, but I mean, it has happened. So,
Oh, sweet. All right. So, like, I was telling you guys earlier, they have their openers. It's a production. I mean, like really, the song comes on, you guys like come out in fireworks and all kinds of stuff. I mean, that was like really awesome. Do you guys have like a favorite theme song you guys like? I mean, personally, mine is the Gunslinger song. I don't know why, but I mean, it was pretty intense. So, what about you, Knight?
Gunslinger does have a good song. Matt Acid. I mean, he's imposing. He's a scary dude, and just, I mean, as big as he is, in that trench coat and everything, and you just hear that, Western just vibe to it, and watch him come waltzing down the ramp. I mean, it's imposing for sure.
Oh, I was watching.
Add in I mean, that's one of my favorites for sure. I like his a lot. Um, I like Vince Easterwood's a lot that Rex mentioned earlier. He's got a good theme song. Um, I mean, I gotta like my own.
Of
So
course.
yeah, that's a
I
given.
was waiting for you to get to it. I was like, well, do you like your own? I mean, really?
Yeah, I mean, I always like my own, but I feel like that's the given one because it's like I'm not coming out to it if I don't like it.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like,
Imagine me just walking out. God, this sucks, but here I am. So
crappy music, but I guess I'll wrestle.
I guess.
What about you, Rex?
There's a few that I like. Of course, obviously, I like my own because it speaks to my personality, and I feel it gets me amped up for a match, hearing it and listening to the crowd cheer and get you pumped up, ready for the match. In as much as I hate to say it, Indie Club, my nemesis, as you would call them, they have a really great theme song. It suits them. Well, it did suit them before.
Oh, that is a good one. I forgot that one, but that is a good theme song. I wanted
What
that
song
as
is it?
mine.
What
It's
song is it?
Never Back Down by a band called Nine Lashes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's a great song.
I almost wanted that one. I actually went and was seeing about getting it, and then someone told me that the indie club got it first. And I was like, crap, really? It's a good song.
No song for you.
And I have to say another two after last night we got you in Anything Goes, a Doom Snowpaws entrance and theme. I like the energy behind it. It's pretty cool.
Oh, sweet. So, what about the fashion? Like, like what inspires your attire? We'll go with your first night.
Um, hmm. I don't know what uh inspired. It just kind of came. I don't know. It just kind of developed as I went because when I first started out, I really didn't have much like put together. I just kind of like the one thing I had was that skull mask that I covered my face with at first. I mean, didn't have any real character with it or anything. I just was wearing that out. Didn't have any nice design tights or whatever. Just some like basic black tights and whatnot. But and then over time, this moniker I go by, the Architect of Annihilation, kind of because it's kind of like an oxymoron in a way, but play on words and just started rolling with that. And then I think from the skull mask came the logo that you can see on my shirt and tights and my wrist tape. And that ended up kind of being something I rolled with. And more recently, just because, like I said, I'm a lot of, I do a lot of striking, punches, elbows, and such. And so, when it came time, because some guys like to bend the rules a little bit, or like our show, anything goes, kind of the theme was, as it says, anything goes. So, like, if a guy wanted to, pull a chair or use some type of weapon in the match, for the most part, I mean, they can do that. And, I think for me, my best weapons are my fists because I just know it. I mean, that's my most precise striking. So for a bit, I started wrapping them up in chains, like some chains, wrapping it up around the fists and wrists, just so if I'm punching someone now, it's gonna do a lot more damage than just my knuckles would. And so it's just little bits and pieces of stuff that have kind of, developed over time and filled in, me as a character and wrestler and who I am.
That's cheating night when you have chains wrapped in your fist. I'm just saying.
Not if it's no disqualification.
Chains to the face. Come on now.
I mean, if the other guy's got a chair or like a kendo stick or something, I think I deserve something. I'm gonna go up and punch a chair.
That's not right either. But it is what it is.
You gotta do what you gotta do sometimes.
It's
It's
good entertainment.
survival of the fittest.
What about you, Rex? What inspired your look?
After I got kicked out of the indie club, I kind of wanted to really dig into my own personality and see, what colors fit me. And I've always been drawn to neon green and black and yellow. So when I left the indie club, I kind of shed the black and white of the indie club and started wearing these colors. Like the tears and stuff on my tights, and my gloves are kind of punk rock inspired. I'm a DJ, so I'm a big fan of old school punk rock. You can ask my wife out in the crowd how much I like green. Half my fucking outfits are green, so she probably gets sick of that as much as But yeah, it's just what I've adapted into. I normally I wear that mask I came out with on my entrances. I like it. It kind of speaks to me, kind of like a spirit of vengeance, which I feel like I am somewhat on pulse, trying to help thwart off the indie club, and because otherwise, if they're left unchecked, they just ruin pulse for everyone. I think.
Do you guys have like people who custom make this stuff for you?
Yeah, there's some. There's some guys that have been who are wrestlers themselves that are, gotten into mesh over time and just been incredible creators of just all sorts of. I mean, our ring you see is completely meshed. Our tights, our outfits, the shirts, the merchandise you can wear is. I mean, it's all been made, textured, the whole 9 yards by a couple guys. I mean, just for it, I'm gonna shout them out. Seth Cameron, does a lot of work on it. The original founder of Virtual Wrestling Entertainment. So, just with his mesh work, his texture work is phenomenal. And then also Michael Carson, he owns a shop where the VWE Coliseum is located, called Carson Wrestling Gear, and has almost, I think, anything you could possibly want: short tights, long tights, boots, elbow pads, wrist tape, wrist wraps. And has been really good about texturing it and getting stuff like that done. So yeah, we've got some really creative people that we get to work with and get, to bring this stuff to life and to get these kind of cool logos and monikers and everything.
Oh, sweet. So there's like multiple people doing stuff for the actual stuff, like the merchandise and the costumes and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff, just like anything else, we'll find something at some store to kind of maybe customize our look a little bit. But I mean, at least with a lot of the wrestling basics, your tights, your boots, any ring gear, athletic sort of stuff, if you need wristbands or elbow pads, knee pads, anything like that. I mean, we've got guys that have done it and uh, use the kits to make it for an assortment of different body types and everything. So,
Oh, sweet. Speaking of that, I guess we're gonna have a giveaway at the end of the show. So right in front of me is a fishbowl. If you guys click on it, it should let you guys enter to win merchandise from VWE. Yeah, I think okay, it's working. The thing is like the worst contest thing, so hopefully you guys can all click on that right there, and then at the end of the show, I'll be drawing names for the winners. All right, so moving on to my next question. So over the weekend, I saw there's a lot of women wrestlers. Is it possible for females to go up against the males? I've kind of been curious about that. So I know you guys like that. There's this one I can't remember what it's called right now, where you guys are all in. Uh, can you elaborate on that night?
so yeah, like, I mean, we do like normally have separate men's and women's divisions. I mean, they have, there we have the VWE world title, our top title for the men, and then the women's world title for the women. So in for the normally, like I said, it's usually competing division to division, but we've incorporated a lot of men and women before. The latest incarnation of our tag team belts, for example, was a mixed tag team. So it was the tag teams consisted of men and women teaming together. And so those our tag team belts would be held by a man and a woman team. So I think you got to see a mixed tag match at the show last week. It was Nile Nightfire and Viola Beaumont teaming up against Ccwc and Lali Wehan Nahasa. And so
Oh
stuff
yeah.
like that, yeah. So stuff like that. I mean, we have men and women sort of competing against each other. I mean, and then we've also had some women who have just been, I mean, to the point of just out there, like just whole other ball game. One we had, her name was Isabel. This woman was a monster. Like was out of a psych ward, wore this like creepy clown mask, and she was a giant. So she could handle herself going up against quite a few male wrestlers.
Oh man. So okay, so if you guys had like it was the double tag team, it was like one male against male, then female against female when they tagged whatever. What is the name of the? You probably already answered this, but the name of the fight where it's like all in male and female, like a last person standing kind of thing. I mean, do you guys do that?
Oh, are you talking about like a battle royal?
That's the one. I couldn't not think of the word for shit.
I got you. Yeah. So yeah, we have a whole free preview devoted to the battle royal, and it's called Elimination Royale. It happens about October-ish, somewhere in that time, and like late September, early October, sort of. and and yeah, the whole design is, we have 30 and most recently 40 entrants in it, male and female, and get in the ring. And the idea is, you try and toss everyone else over the top rope to the outside and be the last one standing in the ring, and then there's one female winner and one male winner, and those winners go on to Wrestle Series, like I said, our biggest show of the year in December, to challenge for the world and women's world titles. So it's a big deal to win.
Oh man. Okay. So let me ask you this. I know this is just Second Life, and it's a like I said, it's a production. Is this something that you guys would like be interested in, like doing something like in real life, or can you guys see yourself doing that, or wanting to do it? Let's start with you, Rex.
I don't know if I physically could in real life. I've definitely dreamed about wrestling when I was a little kid, fucking elbow dropping pillows off the top of my couch. You better believe I dreamed about it. I dreamt about it. And I've had friends back home who were in the world of MMA, like they were training for it in martial arts. But no, this is VW just gives me a chance to kind of come in and get to do what I have a passion for, and then yeah, it's something that my wife and my kids here in SL are proud of me for doing too. So it's fun, and I've met some really great people doing it. So.
Oh, cool. What about you, Nate?
I mean, we've all had I think, anybody that grew up watching wrestling and whatnot has certainly imagined, oh man, I want to jump off the top rope like that. And of course, I mean, especially if you get a bunch of, at least me growing up, art friends together and, go out on the trampoline or, use the pillows, mattress, and everything to wrestle on. I mean, it's, always thought it would just be crazy to do, but I mean, it's a commitment for sure. I know for me, I played sports growing up, but there wasn't ever really, at least where I went to school, there was never like even for like Olympic or collegiate wrestling, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, and so there wasn't really ever the option for that. I was just kind of the football, basketball, soccer, track, baseball type of guy. Never really a chance to, experience wrestling other than, like I said, just watching it on the TV. Uh, as I got older, though, while I was in college, I ended up just to kind of keep myself in shape, started at a MMA gym, made some friends there, and had a couple of amateur fights that way. And it's an experience for sure. But at the end of the day, it was kind of like it kind of had to make a choice and really go out on a limb to go like be a full-time fighter or I mean but I was already in college pursuing a degree and wanted to take the safe route and keep my you know keep the concussions down, keep my brain intact, and pursue academics.
I know as a kid, I had he was like a 3 foot tall macho man like doll that you were supposed to wrestle or whatever.
That
And
is
I remember
awesome.
and me and my cousins used to jump off the bed, like the bunk beds, and like elbow them, and that was like my whole thing about wrestling, I guess. So.
Oh yeah, Macho Man.
I love Macho Man. That was like my
That's so
favorite
great.
wrestler. I'm just saying. But yeah, I can hear you on that one. I like to keep all my brain cells intact. So it probably would be something I would go into. So the okay, so you guys have fought you know many people, I'm sure, to hold that belt. Like, have you guys? Is that the first time you guys ever tag team together, or like when you guys went against Hammer and Benja, or have you guys like ever tag team before?
That was our first time I mean, I've watched like Wrex wrestle before at Pulse, and from what he's said, I think he's watched a few matches maybe, but that was our first time ever being in the ring together. Because, like I said, there's a big differential between Pulse and VWE itself.
Okay, so you guys never like wrestled each other then? Assuming.
Nope, that was the first time I'd ever been in the
In the
ring.
ring. Oh, okay.
Yeah, with
Period.
yeah, with
Okay.
with Wrex or Hammer. Benji and I have tied it up before, but we've been both because we've feuded in the past, and like I said, we were tussling trying to see who would come out with this belt recently. But that was the first time I'd ever been in the ring with Wrex and Hammer, but they've got, I mean, there's a lot of talent there. So it was fun to get in the ring and get to experience it for myself. And I just look forward to seeing more big and great things coming from the both of them.
Well, if Benji ever watches this YouTube, this is on YouTube. His name will always be Jerry Curl to me from now on. So you can go ahead. You can go ahead
You
and
should
put
you
my
should
son
call
on.
him that anytime you see him there.
Oh, I
Just
will.
call him Jerry
I plan
Curl
on
to piss him
every
off,
time.
distract him. I can hit him with the Wrex effect, and we'll get that belt off of him.
He will always be called Jerry Curl. No, I'm just kidding. He's a really good guy. I got to meet him before. He's pretty cool, but he's still being called Jerry Curl. I'm just saying. So, what is the biggest match you guys have like experienced so far? Like I guess like the most people, the hype is crowd um, of your career, I should say. Yeah, I'll start with you, Wrex.
I have to say my two biggest matches both came in free previews. Ground Zero 3 and Ground Zero 4. Ground Zero 4 just happening last weekend, and Ground Zero 3 was back in December. I had split from the indie club. Well, they had kicked me out of the indie club, kind of turned on me back in December, and I was able to team up with Vince Easterwood, the Crusader, and we were able to take down Hammer and Kirok in a tag team match. And then Ground Zero 4, I faced Kirok to defend my exhibition title. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to retain it, but that is why I'm hitting back into my training now to try to get better. Maybe come out a better, new and improved Wrex when I come back to Pulse soon. I have to say also too, the one time I got to work Elimination Royale, that was a huge moment for me because I got to step into the ring with other main roster superstars and kind of test my skills. And that was really early on in my career though, so I like to think I'm a lot more experienced now.
All right. What about you, Knight?
God, this is a tough question because they're just like, for me, they're like, because there are a lot. I don't know how I would categorize, because it's like, you would think like a match that would be the biggest, maybe like, winning something, doing something, but there are just so many matches that have been like significant for me, because it just like, from who it was, like how it was placed, and just kind of the ramifications of it. Like, I mean, the first I got my start on Pulse and kind of the first generation from when Pulse became a brand, and up, and was the second ever Pulse heavyweight champion. And so, but up until that point, I mean, it was still just a growing thing. It hadn't really become just out there as its own entity that could exist, without being under the VWE main roster shadow, until Wrestle Series 8 went into that, defending the Pulse title in a four-way elimination match. And I mean, and that one was a big one just because I think it was the first time that Pulse had that sort of stage to put on a showcase of, what's to come, the talent being bred there. And I think after that, it just really started to kick off into its own brand. Um, Shoot, I mean, there's when I debuted on the main roster, my very first match was for the title I'm wearing now, the United States title, and I won it in my debut. And never anyone debuted in VWE and won a title like that. And so, I mean, that was crazy. I've had, I mean, 2 matches with my first time I ever main evented a free preview was against who I spoke about before, Derek Colt, for the VWE World Title. First time main eventing a free preview, first time fighting for the world title, and I mean, getting to be, like I said, with all the respect I have for Derek Colt, I mean, it was just crazy, getting the face up against him and get a shot at the biggest prize in VWE. Then I had a very personal, growing match for me. There wasn't a title on the line or anything like that, but it was against my former friend and stable member, Cody Hooley, who we had run together and been tearing up VWE, called ourselves GOAT, the greatest of all time. And but then it kind of came to a head of, we both wanted the same thing, and we had to go through each other to get to it, and so ended up turning into just a real personal blood feud, and resulted in a big match against us that was the first time after that one that I really got to stand out on my own in VWE, and instead of being in this faction and just a part of this team, I got to be me and only me. And so, I mean, just some, it's really, I don't know, it's hard for me personally to kind of categorize, oh, this is my defining match. Because for all I know, I don't think I've had my defining match yet. It's just having a favorite. I mean, there's, like I've listed, there's a lot of them that are really significant to me because they've just played, very pivotal roles in my career and just how I've grown as a competitor, wrestler, and person. So
All right, sweet. Well, I really look forward to watching your career and seeing something that's going to be exciting in the near future. So that's always something to look forward to. If you don't think that you've had your moment yet, that's a good thing because it means you haven't peaked yet. So I look forward to looking and being a part of that. So what advice would you give anybody who's just wanting to join you guys or to start off doing this?
be prepared is what I like. It's not, it looks really fun and flashy and just awesome, from the outside, but behind the scenes to get to that level, there's a lot of work that has to be put in. You have to, being able to just learn these moves, learning how to do the, work the HUDs, go through the routines, and I mean, get good at it. Not just being able to kind of tiptoe your way through it, but being really smooth and with it and piecing it all together, knowing how to put matches together and everything. So, and it's a process just from learning the moves and then finding out who you are too. What kind of character you want to be. What's gonna set you apart from everyone else. And so, I mean, at first, it's really a grind to just go through the training and learn how to do everything. But once you get there, it makes it all worth it and then some.
Yeah, I was looking at some of the stuff you guys are doing and the way it's coordinated. I'm like, they have to like be on some kind of HUD or something because the announcer knew exactly what's going on. And like I said, it's a production. It's an amazing, elaborate production. Like again, if you guys haven't seen this, you guys really need to check this out because it's a show and it's worth watching. So who actually owns the virtual wrestling entertainment?
That would be Stuart Wharf. He's the current CEO and owner and chairman, and I don't know, whatever titles he gives himself to boost his ego.
I see Stuart's out there in the audience. Hi Stuart, how's it going?
Hey, Stu, call me up.
I know you guys, poor Stuart has to deal with this on a daily basis, but I'm sure, like I said, it's totally worth it.
He
And
fires me probably at least twice a day.
it's like you're fired.
That's really how it is. You're fired.
Step into my office. You're fired. All right. So, like, and my last question to you guys: if you guys can change anything on how people perceive pro wrestling here in SL, what would that change be and why?
I think just what people think that it is in itself. You know, I've been all over the grid. You know, I've dabbled in role play, DJing. You know, I've been a part of Relay for Life and Second Life and uh different sort of events and everything, and there's just nothing like this anywhere else on the grid that you can get, you know, just this type of performance, this type of spectacle that I've seen. And but I think people don't, like, you don't really understand it until you see it. Like, you get this kind of predisposition of it just because of what else you've seen in Second Life. Like, I know people that have like thought about it and thought, "Oh, is it like a role play or something?" Which I mean, at least to me, like thinking about two guys like standing in a ring and just like typing out what they're doing back and forth sounds really boring to watch. And it's
I
like,
I have a
but
comparison. That's what I thought it was going to be, and I was like, oh,
see, case in
here we.
point,
But
case
I'm
in
like,
point.
I'm like, oh, here we go. And then like they were trying to explain it to me. I was like, okay, I'll be there, whatever. And then I really got into it. I was like, oh shit,
Yeah, I mean that's
that's not what
exactly
this
the
is.
point. Exactly the point.
Okay.
It's like that's what I mean, you know, people I guess just have this notion about what they think it is and whatnot. You know, like if it's just a role play or something, it's like, no, it's so much more. And like, I mean, the YouTube channel's cool to kind of, you know, be able to view it or whatever, but I mean, it's just not, you have to be there. You have to experience it. And I think that's what the notion that I want to put out there is: come to at least one show, experience it for yourself, and then, you know, make an opinion on it, because there's nothing you can compare anywhere else on the grid to what wrestling is. It's just, I mean, that's why I'm here. That's why I've stuck with this for so long over the years and just keep coming back, you know, kept coming back to it. And then once I got in VWE, have stuck with it finally for a long period of time. It's just, I mean, there's nothing else like it. You're not going to find this type of show, production, anything like this. I mean, it's really an experience that you just have to be there and have for yourself.
And like, yeah, like I was telling people, I was just like, because I had people in my IMs like who had never been there. Some who are actually notable designers on SL bloggers, and they were just like, "What the hell is this?" And I was like, I was trying to explain to them, and they were just like amazed by it, like completely um, in awe by it. So you might be seeing some very inspired fashion coming up here soon because of it, because it was their first experience and they really, really enjoyed it. Um,
Tell them to hit me up or hit Stewart up.
oh, they
Hit
sure
Max up.
would.
Hit us all up.
They sure will.
Chit Chat with Chad.